Hey, welcome to Dollar Views. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Stephen Montmanex.
We're just two Long Beach State film grads with a lifelong passion for cinema trying to put our money where our mouths are.
And we decided to make our BAs mean something by giving our 2 cents on the weekly film releases.
Whether it's the cute romantic comedy,
or the latest cult classics,
from the little-known indies and docs,
to the latest Michael Bay masterpiece.
we go over it all, $1 at a time.
You can't fight like that anymore. Think about her.
I'm gonna tell you something.
I love you.
I love you.
So predictable.
Man.
The light heavyweight champion of the world, Billy Carter.
I wouldn't be here without my wife, Maureen.
Hey, Billy, why you leaving so soon?
Come on, keep walking.
Baby, you ain't never been a real man.
Billy, let that go.
Let's go home.
How about I take your belt?
Hey, stop!
Look me in the eye. No, 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 no. No, no, no.
This is not Rocky. He is lefty. Interesting title for a film. Southpaw.
No, you know why it's titled that, right?
Well, yeah, because that's what happens at the end. No, why is it called Southpaw?
Originally it was, my understanding is that, Eminem was originally supposed to be in the lead role?
Didn't know that. Does explain why he
you didn't know that?
Didn't know that. Explains why he has original song for the montage. I'm assuming it's original song.
All right, well, God, where do I start here? So, originally, the idea was to write the movie with him as the lead, but...
It was a vehicle for him.
Yeah.
How long
it was
ago
kind
was
of,
this?
This was back in 2010, I think, and it was supposed to be a sort of spiritual sequel to 8 Mile, in a way.
Yeah, I know nothing about this film. The only thing I know 2 things. I know that original released image where Jake Gyllenhaal looked fucking ripped as shit, and I believe that he was a boxer. And then I know at Cannes this year, Harvey Weinstein fucking promised that Gyllenhaal would win an Oscar, and that this film was shown out of competition because Jake Gyllenhaal was on the committee. Those are the 2 things I know about this film. So continue teaching me things.
All right. Well, regarding the whole Eminem thing.
The spiritual successor to 8
Yeah,
Mile.
and I guess, the idea was having writing a role for a left-handed boxer was kind of akin to, having a white rapper. It's basically someone that doesn't belong, and, most boxers, if you're left-handed, you're fucked or something. I don't know that world really well.
If you're a left-handed boxer, it's kind of like baseball. It's a good thing because no one expects it, or it's hard to counter. That's why when you have a lefty pitcher, you need a lefty batter so someone can actually hit the balls he's throwing.
Yeah, and you can surprise people. But anyway, enough with my completely uneducated description of boxing. Instead of Eminem, we got Jake Gyllenhaal, who really kills it.
He definitely does.
I mean, part of me is like, after I found out, I'm thinking, I kind of wanted to see the version with Eminem just because.
No, I don't.
I love 8 Mile. I love it.
You're alone on that.
Really?
No, I like the sequences with
That's a great movie.
Oh man, what's her name?
Brittany Murphy?
What's her name? Brittany Murphy. Yes, any of the sequences with her aren't bad. The underground rap stuff is pretty interesting. But any of the Kim Basinger stuff in the trailer, or him driving around with Mekhi Phifer, just bad. But anything like pre-rapping, like when he's looking in the mirror and he literally has barf on his sweater because he just threw up, like in the toilet, and then he incorporates that in the freestyle, and obviously the Lose Yourself rap or anything in the club, like great stuff. Definitely one of the better hip hop films. Like, it's up there with like Hustle and Flow. And then I guess you could include some like Breaking. But yeah, just he's not a good actor.
No, I think
50 Cent's much better in this.
Being that it was an autobiographical film, I guess it's easier for him to more or less play himself.
Yeah.
But no, I think he did a great job in 8 Mile. And I think 8 Mile's a great movie, and I especially love his cameo in Funny People.
Why is everyone looking at me? And then Ray Romano takes a picture.
Anyway, so yeah, Gyllenhaal in the role kills it, right?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Okay, we can
Harvey
agree on that.
Weinstein wasn't,
Do I think he'll get?
good.
Do I think he'll get an Oscar, let alone a nomination?
I think he'll get a nomination, but it's so early.
We don't know what we're getting
because did he get a nomination for Nightcrawler?
I think he got robbed.
I think he didn't get.
I think that was one of the big snubs last year.
He definitely didn't, but he got a Golden Globe nom. So because of that wrong, I think he'll get one. Just to we fucked up. Here's your nomination or statue. They could do a Hoosiers. They could give it to him because that whole Easy Rider. You didn't get anything, Dennis Hopper. Here's your one for Hoosiers. So
but, I mean, after a year though, that's so soon.
It happens.
Yeah. But between this and Nightcrawler, though, I mean, he's really committing to these roles.
He's got some good shit.
Yeah.
Did you read his article or his interview that Variety posted? He basically did, he opened up about Heath Ledger for the first time in forever. And he said something like, to have someone so close to me, such like a peer in my profession, to die, especially after I had such an emotional experience making a movie where we connected, it pushed him ever since then to really try to find himself in the role and do things that he wouldn't think he's possible of. And it definitely shows because, this and Nightcrawler are definitely, miles. I didn't see Enemy yet, but those are miles past, Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
What was up with this accent in that movie? That was the worst part.
Forget about it.
I
forgot about it.
Forget about it. That was a Disney movie.
Yeah. I forgot about it.
Production.
Let's forget about it.
I can't forget about Disney movies, especially video games.
I'm not going to talk about it. Let's forget about Prince of Persia. It's done. So Southpaw.
I thought this was one of the rare films where I felt like it was too short. I thought this definitely could have used an extra 15 or 20 minutes because the pacing is kind of off for me. It starts right into it. You get no introduction to the world. Just, hey, it's a boxing movie. We're going to start the bout. And then it just goes quick. Which doesn't help, especially in some of the more emotional moments.
I didn't really have that problem at all.
No?
I didn't feel like it went too fast. I mean, I felt like it's right around 2 hours long. I felt it was long enough. I mean, it didn't really outwarm its welcome for me yet, but you know what? I'm just guessing that you're not that hot on it based on that Rocky opening that you gave.
I actually liked it. I liked the boxing sequences a lot more than most of the film. The movie's two halves for me. There's everything that happens before Forrest Whitaker comes into the picture, and then everything that happens after. I think the first half is much weaker than the second because like I said, I knew nothing going into this. So I had no clue what the story was. Rachel McAdams, it's credited as Anne. Rachel McAdams kind of hinted that her character was going to last long on the screen, but I thought that whole self-destruction, whole story going on, and was kind of too emotionally raw. I didn't connect with it, and like I said, that was because the world was never built. I never really knew the character. It was mostly through dialogue. Oh yeah, I grew up in the housing. I was adopted or whatever, just like my wife. Blah blah blah, and then. I don't know. I wanted a little bit more to care about the characters because I definitely got invested, especially towards the end. But it could have went a lot farther for me. That's kind of like why I said it's not Rocky, whereas that's a very, very slow movie. There's no fighting until the very end. And even still, and maybe because of that, so much about these two characters in this bout that has been talked about for, the last 2 hours that you can't help but be emotionally invested. Whereas here, yes, I was invested, but there was very little payoff for me.
I'm sort of on a similar boat with you. I did find a way to get invested, but I don't think they're really on a script level. There's really nothing special here. It's very cliche. It's very formulaic.
Yeah.
It's
a great character piece, though.
Yeah, exactly what road this is going to go down.
Yeah.
I don't think that the fight scenes are really shot in a way that's that interesting. I don't know.
Like the final one, you didn't like those first person stuff?
Well, here's the thing: is I don't think it's shot in an interesting way, and that could be just because I've seen quite a few fight scenes or boxing fight scenes that. Maybe that's it. We've already reached the peak. There's just no new way to show those fights.
Well,
but
after Raging Bull, it's kind of hard to.
But the way that they're choreographed, they're really choreographed.
Look like real fights.
You feel every single punch. Yeah. And this is really what it gets down to. What makes the movie work for me is there are great performances all around.
Yeah.
And that's really what it gets down to, is that almost everyone here is committed, and especially when you get down to the fights, Gyllenhaal is still in. You know what? She did the good. Child
did okay.
actors.
Yeah,
she did a
child
good job
actors
for
are
where
very
she was
good.
supposed to, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean
Everyone else across the board.
every single
is
beat, the
great
you know
stuff.
the death of Rachel McAdams, which is in the trailer. I'm not spoiling it, but yeah, the way that
Nope.
that's handled,
Didn't even know that shit.
you really.
It was good. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I didn't see anything for this film, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the way that they handle that, that you really feel like it's just a in the moment part
It
where
almost-
he's struggling to process reality.
It
Like-
the way it kind of played with a realistic tone. I feel like if Soderbergh shot this, it would have worked a lot better, because what Fuqua's doing with the quick cuts and lots of camera angles, especially in the fights, like it doesn't help the story. If it was natural lighting or gritty or maybe some handheld stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, and then there's some obvious stylistic like choices that just kind of feel like overkill.
Like cutting
especially
to the HBO cameras.
or just especially when it's obviously the same camera. But then there's also there's some slow motion moments that just kind of kill it for me. One specific one that I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, that's necessary in a boxing movie. That's kind of like the money shot.
The one shot, like one that I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it, but was that really necessary to let it go on for that long?
Yeah, it's the boxing money shot. You need that.
It went for like 20 seconds. It's way too long.
There
just comes to a point where I'm just like, I get it. It doesn't really look that cool anymore. Just keep the movie going. Don't let it drag on anymore.
I think the biggest problem with this film is that there's a lot of plot holes, or rather arcs that aren't completed fully, which even, is the closing. Like it kind of just ends and we're kicked out of the room.
That happens with almost every boxing movie or sports movie. I mean, Rocky
I don't know,
did it. Warrior did it. They always end right after the fight.
I still haven't seen Warrior. I got some gaff for that. I heard it's really good. But I was like a 2.5 hour movie about UFC
Not to me,
fighting.
but
I don't know if I can do it. Yeah, there were some. I don't want to get into it, but Rachel McAdams' death, that plot is just never like they kind of hint at something and it's under the surface and then there's no closure. Whereas like it wouldn't have been hard. Like you already have like this villain set up. Like throughout the whole movie, you have an antagonist, but he's not the real one. It's like obviously there's, 50 Cent's character is the real villain, and it's whatever's wrong here, we'll never talk about that.
It is also more of an internal battle, though. But I mean, the fact that they had to set up that one guy as the villain, it's okay if they're building it up for the sake of the fight, because they need to make money. I get the publicity angle within the plot; that makes sense. But then within the actual narrative, when he pulls him aside and goes, "Hey, your wife, like she needed a real man," or I don't know, whatever shit, and then there's the low blow on top of that. Like, do you really need to write that hard to make him a bad guy? Like,
No,
why? No, jeez.
Gyllenhaal, like we said, everyone performs at such a high level. Even the bit players that only have like one line or no line at all, they're just looking or they're boxing or whatever. Like everyone is good in it. That when you have a script that is so substandard and by the numbers and doesn't like really help any of the characters, or it says too much without saying anything at all, it's really discrediting to everything else that's going so right. It was really sad.
Yeah. Just another thing that I sort of like, I do like, but I feel like they went about the wrong way. I really like the rawness, though, of this movie. Like,
it was emotionally raw.
Yeah,
in a good way.
And just you do feel just the sights of the city. Like once everything goes to shit for him, how he's got that really just small apartment.
Like, imagine if this was shot the way that Magic Mike XXL was. If it wasn't that flashy, let's have this montage, let's do this. Because the training sequence definitely looked good. Like I really like that montage towards the end with the Eminem song. But I don't know. I don't know.
No.
I like this film,
it has a gritty
it definitely
look.
wasn't great.
It has a gritty look, and I like it. I can't, Magic Mike is a lot more colorful, so I'm tempted. I just want to say no, you're wrong, sir, on that. You just wanted to see them break out and dance, huh?
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. About 30% of this movie is guys shirtless that are ripped and they look really good. There's no problem with this. I'm sure men are going to love this movie. And yet they're dressed the same way and in the same physical condition, but they're dancing with music in the background. That's gay.
That's probably because you have a bunch of screaming females taking pleasure out of it, and that just suddenly takes it out
There's
of
something
you.
won when women are enjoying
There's just
the
some
sport.
that shuts it off and goes, "Oh no, this is a chick thing. No, I can't be here for that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I already mentioned, 50 Cent was really good in this.
Yeah.
He played that role.
Is he supposed to be a
with-
bad actor? Like, I haven't seen much
Yeah,
from
well,
him, but that's always
he
a
was
backlash
in
that I hear.
Spy. Like it was like an extended cameo playing himself. So he had 2 films this year, and get this, he filed for Chapter 11.
This year?
Yeah. So how is he in 2 major motion pictures and filing for bankruptcy in the same year? How does that even make sense? Did he not get paid for these films? I know that he doesn't sell music anymore. No one cares about him musically since like 2006. But has his vitamin water money run out? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Southpaw didn't cost that much. I don't think Harvey Weinstein's gotten him a major check.
No, hell no.
You know, he's probably taken some advice from his character. He's got, if he's filing for bankruptcy, he's still got some money somewhere. I mean, that's, you know,
Bankruptcy is a money. It's a move.
The reality
It doesn't mean that you're out of money. It means that you want to make
Yeah.
sure that you keep what you got.
Which is funny. The reality of this movie, like, I really don't like applying real world logic to fiction. But the fact that Bill Hope loses everything, literally
fast.
everything. Yeah. You know, just kind of unrealistic. And then all of a sudden, you know, just starts showing up at people's places with guns and
So I'm saying
that was so over the top. Yeah.
There's some weird pacing stuff going on with the script here that
trying to
it
be,
could
like,
have
really
easily
intense.
been like an extra 15, 20 minutes. But instead of trying to extend any of the characters or their motivations or what's going on, it's like you're satisfied. You're supposed to be satisfied with Jake Gyllenhaal just looking in the distance with blood in his eye. And it looks good, and you totally buy whatever's going through his head. You're like, yeah, there's something wrong. But you don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's, the character's, not the brightest guy. You can't even articulate what it is.
No, he's
but,
full
yeah,
on
but
dumb,
he's a fucking boxer. He's had at least 40, in the film, he's had 45 professional bouts. You know how many fights you have to do before you become a pro? You know how many times he's been hit in the head? Like, how much of his brain cells do you think he's going to keep? They say something like when you've had 2 concussions, you've lost like X number of your brain cells. Trust me, he's had more than that. Mm-hmm. So he does the boxer thing well. Like, the great boxers aren't smart people. Look at Mike Tyson, George Foreman. Do you watch boxing? Is that something that you do?
No, I've fallen out of touch on sports. Like,
Uh-huh.
If you haven't noticed in this podcast by now, we bring up video games, we bring up music, and I'm just kind of like
kind of off on all of them. Yeah.
I need to I really need to look at stuff other than movies.
I don't watch boxing often. I watch the big fights. Like Pacquiao, Mayweather.
Yeah, Mayweather.
Yeah. And like I have some boxers in my family. My grandma loved, like, not like blood family, but yeah, like one of my cousins, he has Golden Gloves, California. Like, he's, I think, 3-0 right now in his professional career. I got to see him fight sometime soon. I haven't been to one of his fights in a long time. But my grandma, the person who kind of made me appreciate movies and love film, she loved boxing. So I watched the HBO fights at her when I lived with her when I was younger, like, all the time. And so getting to watch those boxing scenes that seemed 100% like the hits that were happening, like they were hits. They didn't seem choreographed. It was really fun, kind of bring together the 2 things that my grandmother loved in a film. Like, I wish she was alive to have seen this. I'm sure she would have loved those moments.
Yeah, the punches were definitely vicious.
Yeah.
Like, just, I'm used to, like, hearing that sound, that typical, like, punching sound, but just here, it works so well.
It was like that very first, I hope this doesn't count as a spoiler. It's like that very first one where the first fight, they go to the corner, and like Gyllenhaal knocks him down, he gets up, and then the ref counts, and then as soon as he's fine, Gyllenhaal just comes up out
just
of
fucking
nowhere.
sneaks up. It's like, whoa. Like,
it was amazing. I was in the theater just going, oh, and I was alone. I didn't know how I was alone. Like, I was reacting to the fights in the same way that I react to real fights.
Yeah, no, everyone in my theater, like my friend was sitting next to me, we both reacted clearly to that punch right there. That was awesome. Like, there's a lot of cool moments like that in there.
Yeah, too bad story-wise they're...
Yeah.
But, I mean, with that being said, I still would recommend this movie. I'm not sure if I would buy it for $1, but I think it's definitely a good watch. It's once again, it's early in the year, or about halfway, but in terms of Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, Forrest Whitaker, too, is a great supporting role. Just based off of them two, and like I said, the second half of the film, I think it's a really good treat to go catch, especially if it's a matinee.
Yeah, I agree with you. There really isn't much special here. It's a really disposable story about acceptance and growth. It's predictable. We know what's going to happen. For me, it's really there's some really great choreography in the fight scenes, and really Jake Gyllenhaal commits. Like, you don't just believe that he can act; you believe he can box.
You believe
as well.
He's a fighter, yeah.
Yeah, and just down to Forrest Whitaker and pretty much everybody all around. There's great performances from everybody, and this is really, if you really want to watch an actor's movie, this is it. I don't think you necessarily have to rush out to theaters to see it, but I think it's a good rental.
Yeah, it's definitely a good rental. Like I said, this is definitely getting nominated, if not at the Oscars, at the Golden Globes, and by that time it's going to be on home video. I'm sure you can get a Redbox. It'll be worth it just to see what people are buzzing about, because it's Antoine Fuqua. This wasn't a miss. It was good on his part in terms of direction. So I'm excited where the Magnificent Seven's going, because that's his next role. Shout out to James Horner with in memory at the end of this one.
What you heard about the score for Magnificent Seven?
Yes, he secretly worked on that. I'm sure we're going to talk about this again in 2 cents.
Yeah, we'll save
exciting.
it for then. More to come.
Yeah, it's a good send-off. One last thing for me. I sure you know nothing about this, but that closing song, that emotional song during the ending, that was by Frank Ocean, the R&B singer from L.A., who had a amazing album a couple of years ago, Channel Orange. And he has been really silent. So this was kind of like his first new thing in a while. If you are a fan of his, it's definitely worth checking out just for that song and how it's used.
Duly noted.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. I hope it's been a pleasure. If you enjoyed it, you can find updates and when episodes go live on Facebook and Twitter at Dollar Reviews. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BryonGillis, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate the films I watch on an almost daily basis, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at letterboxd.com. My username is also S_MTX. There I log everything I watch and sometimes write brief reviews.
If you loved what we said, you'd like to contribute some talking points, or you just want to laugh at us and send us hate mail, you can do so at dollar.review@gmail.com.
And since we don't know where you're listening from, you can find our recent reviews on iTunes by searching Dollar Reviews. We're also on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/dollarreviews. And if you're sad that you missed a review and you can't find it on either of those platforms, you can find our entire archive at youtube.com/dollarreview. Once again, that's Dollar Review, one word without the S.
Until next time, keep the change.